Okay, we are on to part 3 of Pioneer Connection, where we are learning about our pioneer ancestors. So for this part, we are just going to be talking about those Mormon pioneers. I'm going to show you a few different places where you can learn more information about their experience as a Mormon pioneer. And you might be able to learn a lot just from the memories and stories that are on the profile of the ancestor that you chose. So if you did not choose a Mormon pioneer, if you do not have someone that was a Mormon pioneer in your family tree, that is totally fine. You can just keep learning about them for this part, and we will get back to you in part 4. But for those of you with Mormon pioneer ancestors and you want to learn more about their experience as a pioneer, we're going to get into that. Okay, so I'm here on the profile of the ancestor that I have chosen, and she is a Mormon pioneer. And so I'm going to show you some places where you can learn some more about their experience as a pioneer. Okay, so first of all, we might want to know when they were baptized, when they joined the church. So that, you might be able to find that under their ordinances there. I'm just going to show you mine. Now, you do need to be a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints to have to be able to see this information, but you can see that she was baptized in 1833. She did other temple work in 1846 and was sealed in 1854. Okay, so there's some dates that you can put into the worksheet, the printable worksheet, to write down when those things happened. You can also learn a lot about them, about where they lived. We kind of talked about that in the last part, looking at their children, when they were born and where they were born, to kind of see where they were. You might have heard of some of these places like Far West Missouri. They had a son born there. Okay, and you can learn some about them there. So they lived in Nauvoo. So that gives us some clues of places that we can look to learn more about their possible experiences there. Okay, now you might be lucky like me and have biographies or stories written about them. I have quite a few here written about Nancy, Naomi, Tracy. What is going on? There we go. So I have lots of pictures here. And then I also have a lot of biographies and documents that I can read through and learn a lot about their pioneer experience. Okay, so you might be lucky to have some of that information there. Okay, so to find out some of these stories about your ancestors, you're going to have to do some digging. You're going to have to read through the information that they might have on their memories and see what you can find out. You might be able to find their conversion story, when they decided to become a member of the church, and kind of the lessons that they learned there. Okay, so in her diary, in her autobiography that she wrote when she was, I think, in her 80s, I can learn about her experience of joining the church. And so you might be lucky enough to have some of that information for your ancestor, but just read through their memories and see if you can find any of those clues about their experience with maybe their testimony. You might be able to find some phrases or things that helped explain that part of their experience. And you might be able to explain some of their hardships. Maybe they had to eat horrible food. Maybe they had family members die or get sick along the way. So you can write all of those things down in your worksheet that you printed off. Okay, so that's one place that you can find information about their pioneer experience, is just by looking at the documents and photos that are in their memories. So another place, maybe you don't have much in their memories there or information there, you can go to activities, and that same place that we did to find a pioneer ancestor, we can learn about them and their experience there as well. Okay, so under this family history activities, there is a couple places where you can learn about their pioneer experience. Okay, so first of all, there's My Pioneer Ancestors. If you go to that, you'll have to scroll through and find them there. I couldn't find an easy way to just have to be able to search for them from this spot, but I will show you the website that you can type in your ancestor's name if you would like to do it that way. Okay, so here we just have to arrow over until we find her. Okay, here she is. So it says that she departed from Canesville, Iowa in June 1850. Now again, that's where they departed just for the last leg well, their last, they didn't settle anytime in between. So from June till September, I believe, is when they arrived in Salt Lake Valley. But before that, she was in Nauvoo and Kirtland, Ohio, and other places. So this tells you what company they traveled in, so you can click on that and learn a bit about who was in that company, how large it was, if it was wagons or hand carts, or it explains the wagon. It was a wagon. It was a type. It was a church train westbound. When they departed, when they arrived, the number in the company, and gives a little explanation. And then if your ancestor doesn't have any stories about their experience, you can read here from other people that were in that same company some of their experiences. So I do have a couple of the sources here actually from her, so that is neat to read through those as well. But if your ancestor didn't write any down, if there's not stories about them, you can look through other people that were in their same company and read about some of those experiences. It might not be about them specifically, but they would have been there. They would have had similar experiences on their journey. Okay, you can also see the individuals in this company. You can see how old they were. You can see if any of them happened to have died along the way. See if any were born. That can even give you a bit of a glimpse into what their experience might have been like. So if you don't want to go through that way, to go through the activities and sort through them this way, if you just go to this website, history.churchofjesuschrist.org/overland-travel, just go to this website and you can type in your ancestor's name, their birth year if you need to, or death year, and you can just hit search and you can learn about them that way. Okay, you can just see if they show up there. Okay, another one of these family history activities is to see if they lived in Nauvoo. So here you can click on Nauvoo, see if any of your ancestors lived in Nauvoo at when Joseph Smith was there, see some information about them. So if you scroll through, this actually enlists her husband, but not her, probably because she wasn't listed on the land records or whatever. But then it can take you to the BYU Nauvoo Community Project. So here it tells a bit of information about your ancestor that might have lived there. You can even go through and look at some records. There might be, here it says the residences, death and burial records. Okay, there's a grave marker for him, not in Nauvoo, but here is interesting that it links to census records about them. So if they lived in Nauvoo, you can look at the image there and see your name, the name of your ancestor. Okay, so if your ancestor has a census there, you can zoom in and try to find them and see if the people that are in their household match with the people that are known in Family Search. So it just has the ages up here and the gender, and you can see if they match. For mine, it does. Okay, if you just want to go to this website directly, you can go to nauvoo.byu.edu and you can search for your ancestor and see if they happen to have been in Nauvoo at this time. Okay, another family history activity that you can do is the Joseph Smith papers. You can see if maybe your ancestors were mentioned in the Joseph Smith papers. This particular ancestor of mine was not, but you can scroll through and just see which ones of yours were. Okay, the last one that I want to show you is actually a little notification that I just got this week that you can discover your pioneer ancestors' voyage. Okay, there's this website called Saints by Sea. So if you go to saintsbysea.lib.byu.edu, it's from the BYU Family History Library, and you can see information about your ancestors' immigration to America, if they were Latter-day Saints. You can just type their name in here. So obviously the ancestor that I chose, she was not, because she was born in the United States. But I have another pioneer ancestor who came from Norway. So this gives information about the ship that he traveled on. Okay, he's found in 3 different voyages. I think this one in 1880 was when he was a missionary. Okay, so then you can click on these and you can find out more information. So you can read about the voyage. You can find information about the ship, when they traveled, where they departed from. You can even see some voyage notes that give some information about that voyage. Like the other website, you can see some information from other passengers, autobiographies, maybe information that they wrote in there about their travel. So then you can learn about your own ancestors' travel that way. Some other things that might be interesting is just to see what family members of theirs also joined the church and maybe traveled with them. So for my ancestor, her and her husband traveled across, and their young children, but her parents, well, her father died when she was young, but her mother did not join the church, and as far as I know, none of her siblings either joined the church. Okay, you can just click on their names on here and see information about where they died. If they did not die somewhere along that trail, they probably did not join the church either. Okay, this one lived in Missouri, but as far as I know, none of her family members actually joined the church. Okay, so those are some ways that you can learn about their experience as a Mormon pioneer. Again, look at their memories, look at those two websites that I'll provide links to, Overland Travel and the Saints by Sea website, and also the Nauvoo information there as well. You can look through their sources also too, where you can see census records, or you can see possibly land records or death records, some information about them that way. Sources are a great way to actually learn a lot about your ancestors, and sometimes they're a bit neglected because they seem maybe a little too hard to sort through, but you can learn a lot about them from their sources. Okay, so on the worksheet I left quite a big space just to write down whatever you want to about what you learned about them, just because there's lots of different variables and your pioneer ancestor may have had a way different experience than mine. So you can write down when they joined the church, and then any information about them that you want to remember. Maybe some things that stood out to you. Maybe if you're doing this with your family, some things that might be interesting for your children. Maybe some similarities that you might have with this ancestor. Just write any of those things down that helped you connect and learn about this pioneer ancestry of yours. All right, thanks for watching, and we will see you in part 4.